Friendly Fingers was getting a hot tub, one that was still under construction. The edges surrounding the basin were unfinished concrete, but decorative tiles with swirling patterns of various shades of purple and blue covered the rest, including the steps down and the bench that lined the inside perimeter. The hot tub wasn't empty. Construction workers must have tested the seal. That explained the water. It didn't explain the blonde woman face down in the tub. The edges of her hair floated in long strands around her head, so she resembled a flower. "Hey there," I called out, hoping that she was the source of the splash. "That's not good for you," she didn't respond. When I reached the edge, it became apparent that the woman wasn't capable of movement, and I rushed to her aid. My foot slipped on the second step, and I landed hard on my knees next to her. Grabbing her shoulders, I turned her on her back and wished I hadn't. Full lips parted as her jaw dropped. Even more unsettling, her green eyes stared, surprised. Drowning hadn't been on today's to-do list. That is from Jacqueline Vick's latest book in her Pet Psychic Mysteries. Oh my gosh, A Scaly Tale of Murder. Hey, Jackie, nice to see you today. Hi. Hey. So that's quite a murder scene set up.
Yeah, Frankie usually stumbles into things since she's not a sleuth, I mean, by profession.
Right. So go ahead and set this book up for readers. And maybe some people have read, this is the 5th book in the series. Mm-hmm. But maybe people haven't read any of it. So give us a rundown of your series.
Well, Frankie Chandler, at the start of the series, she's a fake pet psychic. She uses animal behavior techniques, and she knows how to cold read people, which is like if you've ever gone to a mind reading show, they'll be like, I'm getting something from somebody, their name starts with a C, and they're kind of like watching to see who reacts. And then they're like, Krista, or is it Crystal? And somebody like
and
reacts
somebody
like that.
Will wave
like,
their
it's
hand.
Crystal, that's cold reading. So she was taught how to do that by her tarot card reading aunt, Gertrude. And then she has an appointment with a dog, and he knocks her on her butt when he shows her somebody getting murdered. And once he's found a way into her psyche, then everything can get into her psyche, all these, furry and feathered creatures. So she, while on a blind date with her friend's boyfriend's friend from college, he's a psychologist, and she presents him a hypothetical, what if, and he thinks it's a test, and, he thinks it's fun. And through that, she figures out that if she creates a mental doorway that resembles something in a Frankenstein film to keep out the villagers with the torches in her head, she can kind of close it. And not always, but it helps to keep the chatter out.
Yeah. No, and actually I've heard that some psychics use a technique like that.
Oh, do they?
To block things. Yeah, because you don't want to be bombarded by all of that stuff all of the time.
No, especially not from animals.
Right.
Yeah, feed me.
Although I wish I was psychic and could figure out my animals lately.
Yeah, everybody, your dogs and cats do kind of talk to you anyway. And I think that you do kind of figure out, you form that bond. I know I did with my dog, and I could have been way off base, but most of the time I thought I knew what he was thinking or what he wanted, or maybe he just kept looking at me until I gave him what he wanted. I'm not sure.
Yes. Do something for me, please.
Yes. So Frankie, she sees this murder, and it's the murder of the maid who works at the house that she's of her clients. So the detective, Martin Bowers, comes and visits to talk to her, and they start out adversarial because he thinks she's a nut, and she doesn't know what to tell him because this is all new to her, and she's not sure what happened herself. So basically she's like, why did you come? And he's like, well, and he's got his little notebook out, regulation notebook. And he's like, well, you're a check mark. And so they don't start off well. And over the next couple of books, well, things happen where he's like, I can't even hold your hand. I can't date a woman when I'm not a prude, but I can't even hold your hand. I don't think we can date. So, and she had moved to where she lives in Arizona, Wolf Creek, because of a bad relationship that ended very badly with her boyfriend telling all her secrets, exposing her as a charlatan to this, buxom reporter.
Yeah.
So,
and you're still, just to be clear, you're still talking about the whole series.
The whole series arc, right? Yeah. So, by this series, by A Scaly Tale of Murder, I felt that Bowers and Frankie are engaged. I'm not going to give anything away there, but I thought readers would want to meet Jeff, the boyfriend from Wisconsin. So Jeff comes out and he thinks he has something going with this woman who works at a spa, but he's kind of misread the situation. But because he's broken up with the buxom reporter, he thought, what the heck, I'll just come out here and check it out. And then when she gets murdered, it has a lot of ramifications, and Frankie is kind of forced to work with Jeff to clear his name. And she's more concerned about the embarrassment it's causing Bowers that she's involved and her ex-boyfriend's involved.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So then in Scaly Tale of Murder, she meets a different kind of animal that she has to talk to.
Well, every book, the witness to the murder is an animal. The barking mad at murder, it was a golden retriever. An almost perfect murder, it was a troop of performing cats, which we all know is fiction. You can't get cats to do anything you want them to. In this one, it is a Fiji crested iguana. I was like, should I do an iguana or a bearded lizard? And then I researched them and found that iguanas can be cranky. And I was like, okay, that's more interesting. So, and I went with a Fiji crested iguana because they're endangered. And I thought that was really interesting. They were discovered. Somebody was watching a Blue Lagoon with Brooke Shields way back when.
Right.
And the cameraman had, panned around the little lagoon, and somebody was an expert, and it was like, I've never seen that iguana before, and went out there and discovered the species.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, with that fun background, he would make a good character.
Well, and I think, as an author, that's an interesting point to make too, that, people shouldn't own endangered species.
Right. Yes.
They should not be pets in your home. So, and so he is one of the most important characters, and his name is Stripe, right?
Right. Like the evil gremlin from the movie.
I really enjoyed his point of view.
Yeah.
Because he was sort of crabby.
Yeah. He doesn't want to help. I mean, he's really ticked off that this woman took him out. Her boyfriend is Fijian and brought the iguana as like a gift. So he doesn't care if they find the murderer. In fact, he does, he doesn't want to help. And that's the first time Frankie's run into that.
Yeah.
Because usually she just doesn't know what questions to ask, but she's never had anybody or any animal seriously take a, no, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah. So your main character is Frankie Chandler, and you've already talked about her gift of talking with animals or psychically connecting with them. So I was curious about her backstory, where she used to fake it.
Well, she just, her aunt, she even when she was a kid, her best friend is Penny. They've been best friends since childhood, and that's how she wound up moving from Wisconsin to Arizona, Wolf Creek, Arizona, because Penny lived there. And Penny has always believed that she's had this gift. And Frankie just, capitalized on common sense from a young age. Like she saw a dog, you know, this kid who didn't want his little dog because he was impressed by the bigger dog the neighbor had. And so she felt so bad for the dog. She like gets off her bike and she's, you know, oh, what is he telling me? And she like creates this whole story, and the kid is now in love with his little dog. And like when Penny, the one sticking point and why she never says, Penny, you know, I can't do this, is because Penny had an older beagle that was just begging to be put down. And Frankie told Penny that the dog had told her that he really, really wanted to go see his mom and late brothers and stuff.
Oh.
Because she was like, the thing was blind and deaf, and you know, it needed to be put out of its misery. So she can never really say, Penny, I'm making this all up.
Yeah.
But Penny really believes. And then when she develops the gift, then she can't argue about that either.
Right. Yeah. So she spends a lot of time in this book still trying to prove that she's doing this for real. There's a lot of people that really doubt her abilities.
Yeah, because she doesn't really, she's got it down to a certain extent, but it was such a surprise. And she doesn't really know how to control it. She doesn't know everything about it. I mean, who do you ask?
Right.
How does this work? How do I do this?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, it's different from every animal communicator. I interviewed Ben Scuglia, if I'm saying his name right. I interviewed him, had him come out and read my dog,
Oh, wow.
Buster, who was alive at the time, and interviewed him to kind of get a feel for what they do. And I also did a phone call reading with some woman who, I mean, she'd been on Johnny Carson and all sorts of places, and she was terrible. And she told me that because my dog he was neurotic. Told me that he would feel better if he was wearing his favorite color, forest green. And as far as I know, dogs are colorblind.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay. So everybody's got a different approach. And I forgot the question.
No, that makes sense. No, why she was trying to prove it. And you did.
Yeah.
That's really interesting that you were able to find people who do that for a living, to interview them.
Well, I was lucky. And another author I was talking to had, I don't want to say her name because I don't know if she'd be embarrassed. She had somebody come and read their cat, and she gave me the name.
Uh-huh.
And it was for an article for Fido Friendly magazine. And then a neighbor was like, why don't you do a pet psychic detective? And I was like, I don't write cozies. And, and then it just, you know, and then I started writing it, and
there it is.
Off.
5 books later.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So Frankie is engaged to Bowers, and it's kind of funny, but I actually forget his first name.
Martin. Or Marty, as his 7 sisters call him.
Yeah, and she calls him Bowers by his last name. So why is that?
Because I think because their relationship started out adversarial. So she wouldn't give him the respect of calling him by his first name. It was just Bowers, you know, Bowers, the cop, you know, and it just stuck.
And he is a police detective.
Yes.
And he's actually also working on the case of this dead woman who is found in the tub.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not a competition, but she's a warrior. She's a warrior, and she's worried about his reputation, and he's up for a promotion, and she's worried about the backlash. So she just wants to figure out what's happened. And hand him the solution. And the thing about Frankie is I'm not fond of it when I read a book and the amateur is so much smarter than the police, because I don't think that's realistic. So a lot of times Frankie gets it wrong and only finds out the hard way at the end, or else they arrive at it the same time. But with her, it's more about finding out the clues and trying to piece it together. And by the time she does, sometimes it's like too late and she's in trouble.
Yeah. And I love the kind of cat and mouse between her and Bowers too, where she's sneaking around trying to find the clues or whatever, and trying not to get underfoot, with the investigation.
Right. And he doesn't want her hanging around with the suspect.
Her ex.
Yes. Her,
by the way, yes. Yeah. Her ex is a suspect.
It was Jeff's very short-term girlfriend is the one who got, was found in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not jealous. He's just reasonable. He's like, he could have killed somebody. You shouldn't be hanging around with him.
Yeah. And I thought you did such a great job, because I really had no clue even till the very end, till the reveal happened.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing it, I don't know about you, but when you're writing it, you think, this is so obvious.
Right. Oh, I gave it away. I'm sure I gave it away by now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So do you have any books planned for next in the series?
Yes, I'm working on A Scapegoat for Murder. And I'm trying not to think about it because I will start laughing, because I have a scene that's I just discovered something goats do. And I've put it in the scene. I ran it by a couple writers. I was like, is this going too far? Because it's not pleasant, but it's so funny. When I wrote the scene, I was just like giggling myself to sleep because I thought it was a riot. But that's the one I'm working on now.
Okay. So, don't give it away then.
No.
Cool. Well, then we know that there's more Frankie Chandler books coming.
Yes. Well, I will say, if anybody's read them, you're slowly like meeting his 7 sisters, which she's considers his, the pack of, protectors.
Yeah.
Because he was the baby brother. And you get to meet Edith.
Finally.
Edith is the one that when she brings up his name, Bowers twitches. So you're not sure what's going on there.
Yeah. Like they don't get along or something.
Like she's just scary.
Yeah. I gathered that too. Yeah. Great. And you're also the author of the Harlow Brothers mysteries.
Yes.
Which are still on my reading list.
Oh, no. They're also humorous mysteries with 2 brothers, one who is the secret author of the Aunt Civility etiquette books. And the next one I don't have a title for it, will be coming out next winter. And Edward is venturing forth to live his dream of mingling with all this other sports writers, but it's going to be a problem because Aunt Civility and the manners and stuff is so ingrained that it doesn't quite fit in. So.
Wow. Well, I'm really excited to read that series too. And next book's by Jacqueline Vick. Let your readers know where they can find you.
JacquelineVick.com is the website. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I think there's more than me out there with my name. So I think the one is Jacqueline Vick mystery author and JacquelineVick.author. So I'm on those sites and pretty active, fairly active. And I have a newsletter if you want to sign up for it on the website.
Great. Yep. And you can also follow her at blackbirdwriters.com.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So thanks so much for talking with me today, Jackie.
Well, thank you, Tracy.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.